few weeks ago now, Pokémon Go was released to server outages mostly, but inadvertently it took the world by storm. Well, Australia, New Zealand and the US by storm at least.
The mechanics are clever, they encourage social activity, which is really important. One of Nintendo's design philosophies is they want products that encourage people to be social outside of online spaces. They want people to get up and meet people, and that's exactly what Pokémon Go does.
Getting up and meeting people, for many within and even outside of the core gaming community, isn't as simple as it sounds, and for some, Pokémon Go is beginning to show a positive shift in the mental health of players. Is that a zoom out? Jennifer Hazel from Checkpoint, an initiative to connect mental health with games and technology, has, within research studies, explored the psychological benefits of video games.
People who experience social anxiety or people who experience symptoms of depression and they find it very hard to get out of the house, become motivated, they can find a sense of community and socializing in these online apps. So anecdotally, that's what we've seen from our data so far. They take a lot of that community and it actually fulfills a sense of their well-being.
Pokémon Go is only one example of a game bringing positive change to players. Stories from people of all walks of life are out there, where games like Fallout and Mass Effect and World of Warcraft provide an out for those that lose themselves to the world with a narrative that these games have to offer. The end result can be anything from relieving social anxiety to losing friendships, but game developers don't often have these outcomes in mind when working hard at a project.
There's a lot of companies out there that are using gaming devices, which is the whole gamification thing, to better service software and things that are actually fighting and preventing mental health or helping helping people with it and whatnot.
One game that was developed with specific outcomes in mind was Orb, a collaboration between mental health organisation Reach Out Australia and production company Soap Creative. Lee Richards, director of games production at Soap, was able to tell me more about the process of developing a game like Orb.
Normally we look at we develop prototypes and things and the way the game feels, you'll quickly figure out if it's got a hook or not. But how we started with making something like Orb was how we want you to feel from playing it rather than how the game feels itself, which is quite different because we needed you to feel like a positive outcome. We need to communicate certain core things based on psychology, really specific objectives and techniques that we had to use, like 3 good things, character scenarios, a whole bunch of stuff which Reach Out brought to us because they were parts of positive psychology.
That concept of bringing mental health into a games and pop culture space is slowly growing at events like Melbourne's PAX, Sydney's GX and Adelaide's AVCon. Liam Esler, co-director of GX Australia, brought up the evolution of the goals of the convention from its inception to its first running in February earlier this year, citing the mental health element being quite pervasive in the event's vision statement, with one of the bigger results being the 2010 Campfire Room.
Jennifer Hazel and Jane Cox were like, hey, we would love to help you with this. And so we brought on 2010 and made that happen. And then we've got panels and booths about mental health. And that was something that evolved over time, but was a really natural fit and has since become kind of integral to the story and the goals.
And other rooms like the AFK room at PAX and the Reach Out room at AVCon have seen positive effects on both event attendees and professionals within the mental health space.
Everybody's very individual in the way that they use the room. So we've had some people come in, sit by themselves, put on a set of headphones and just disconnect and be in their own world, which is great. And then some other people who are interested in having a chat, they want to come up and find out what the room's about, or they want to explore and talk about the resources that we provide, and we're happy to go either way. So people are warmly receiving at the moment and kind of getting what they need.
Many others within games media and development have spoken out about making other events and even gaming culture more broadly more accepting. EB Expo stands to be one of the events within the gaming and pop culture calendar in Australia to gain the most from a mental health presence. Ray Johnston, journalist for Gizmodo and Triple J, discussed briefly some of the differences in how EB Expo is run next to GX and PAX.
EB Expo is still very much a consumerist kind of sales-driven event. I don't think that we're probably going to see much community sort of focus from that event.
Even with that atmosphere in mind, Jennifer was quick to bring up the benefits of having those support networks readily available at events like EB Expo.
I think that sort of room setup would be beneficial at all conventions, video game, anime and otherwise, particularly if they're conventions that involve congregations of lots of young people. Young people shoulder the burden of the majority of mental illness, so it's really important to use these spaces to communicate our message that it's okay to talk about mental health. And I think that you can apply that blanket to all conventions in Australia and everywhere else as well.
Looking forward, the presence of mental health is set to grow not only within the games we play as both narrative devices and as tools to assist in healthy mental cognition, but as a support network at gaming events and wider gaming culture. And both are only going to be good things for gamers.